Here is my biscuits and gravy.
Let me cook.
Look at that. Bon appetit. Those are beautiful strawberry shortcakes. Game day popcorn chicken.
Let me cook.
And carne asada crunchy tacos. Drizzle some sauce around my plate.
Let her cook.
Smells so good. Waffle House biscuits and gravy. Super easy. We're going to go ahead and use the biscuits from the can. And we're going to go ahead and get that in our oven. So go ahead and turn your oven on to 350 degrees. If you want to make biscuits from scratch, go ahead. Feel free to make your own homemade biscuits. I do love making biscuits. They take a minute. So I'm going to be making my gravy from scratch and the biscuits in the oven. So I do have my oven going to 350. And now I just have to get them in my pan. So first I butter my pan. And I use that, I use the tip of the butter stick. Hopefully it's not too melted to do that. And maybe a paper towel. But I kind of just go, yeah, it's a little too melted. So I'm just going to kind of smear some butter on the bottom of my pan. And then we get a paper towel so my biscuits don't stick. And they don't burn on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and just evenly put a coat of butter on the bottom of the pan. I like butter on the bottom of my biscuits and the top of my biscuits. So we're going to butter it. And it's okay, it'll melt. Don't worry if you got a little bit extra. So this is the scary part for me. Hopefully I don't scream. Okay. Alright, so here are our biscuits. And I'm going to actually put them kind of next to each other a little bit. Let's see how we can get these to fit. They're very sticky. I got the extra buttery ones, I think. Butter. They got the little butter wafers in them. Little butter chips. We'll just have to play with this till we make them fit. Okay, yeah, that'll work. So it'll be, I'll put them next to each other like that. So when they're done cooking, I can just put the butter right over the top of the biscuits. So I'm going to put them together like that. And then put them in my oven. And now, while I have my biscuits cooking, I'm going to start with my gravy. So here I have 1 pound of ground sausage. And I have this cool little meat chopper I'm going to try out from Paris Hilton. So I'm going to be making sausage gravy. So I have the 1 pound of ground sausage in here. And I'm just going to want to make sure that I cook this all the way before I add the rest of my ingredients. Okay, so the basis of the gravy is something greasy. So you can use a little bit of bacon grease. You can use a greasy meat. Chicken doesn't work so good because it's more of a lean meat, so you do want something that actually produces grease when you cook it. And that's the actual grease and butter are the little key ingredients to the gravy. And then now that we got this all chopped, this definitely made it easy to cook. It did stick to my little chopper, like in the little cracks a little bit, but it worked pretty well. I have evenly chopped pieces of sausage. So it is cooked all the way. I am going to save that grease because, again, the grease is like my binder. The grease to the gravy. So, I'm going to go ahead and add my spices to this first. So, the meat has spices in it, so I'm not going to go overboard, but I do want my gravy to have a flavor to it. So, the best way I find is to actually mix it in with the meat. So, that was a half a teaspoon salt, a teaspoon of ground black pepper, a half a teaspoon of cayenne, just a little bit. If you put too much cayenne, it will turn it red. So just about a fourth or an eighth of a teaspoon. And then a tablespoon of garlic. Garlic makes everything just taste better, especially when you're dealing with gravies and stuff that goes on potatoes and things like that, and biscuits. So I'm going to go ahead and just soak that into my meat in the grease that's in my meat. Make sure that it's bite-sized, small pieces, because your gravy's going to be a kind of like, you know, just a topping. So we don't want big old chunks of meat in there. Alright, and now that the spices are mixed in with my grease and my sausage, I'm going to go ahead and add the flour. Or add the butter. Wait, butter. Add the flour. Alright, so I'm going to sprinkle the flour. This is 2 tablespoons. I am going to sprinkle about a tablespoon. Yeah. So I used 1.5 tablespoons of flour. You don't need that much. A little bit of flour goes a long way. And you want to get this to coat to your meat or to your grease, right? So you want it to kind of clump into your meat. And it may not look like it did anything at all, but trust me, it did. So I'm probably going to go ahead and use the rest of my 2 tablespoons though. And I want a light coating that you can still see, but you want it still greasy, but just lightly coated. So I'm going to go ahead and just use the 2 tablespoons of flour. And it sucked it up nicely. So well, you want the grease in there, right? If you don't have grease, use butter. But I'm going to go ahead and add well, if you needed more grease for the flour, if it wasn't greasy enough when you're done cooking your meat, you could have used a tablespoon of butter for your grease. But my sausage had enough grease on it that I'm going to go ahead and go with it. So it looks like we haven't really done anything, but we put flour on our meat in our grease and our spices in the pan, okay? So we're going to go ahead and turn our stove back on to about a medium because we want it at a low simmer, right? And I'm going to get a different spoon here. Basically, as this cooks, we're going to want to add the liquid to it. So I'm going to make it a little more complicated, okay? So I'm going to add some brown gravy mix to 2 cups of beef broth. Any kind of broth that you have, or like chicken broth, beef broth, bone broth. So I'm going to go ahead and mix the packet into a cold or at least room temperature, not hot, measuring cup of 2 cups of broth. And then a little whisk. See if this works. I might make a mess. So I'm just going to whisk that into my liquid. And I'm going to make sure I don't burn my flour over here. So I'm going to mix this in and then I'm going to go ahead and pour it into my gravy. And it won't mix in completely, but you just want to get it the best you can. Less bumps mean less chunky. Alright, so we're going to pour that into there. And then we're going to cook it together. So basically I'm just going to stir this on simmer until it comes to a boil and starts to thicken. Basically what we did with the flour is that's our thickening agent, like you would use cornstarch if you were to make an Asian sauce. But here, for gravy you use flour. So I'm just going to go ahead and let it simmer and thicken as it heats. Don't forget to stir it because it will burn on the bottom. So I've had my temperature on high for a little while now. It hasn't quite gotten to a boil. It's starting to bubble a little bit on the bottom. And it's starting to thicken up as it cools. Now, because I did whisk the brown gravy packet in with a colder solution, it tends to mix better, whereas when you pour this into a hotter solution, it kind of like clumps and you get clumpy gravy. So, so I do want to make sure that I mix it before I put it into my gravy solution. And of course, I just did that just to give it some, this more of the brown gravy look to it. I am going to be putting it on top of my biscuits, so I could have done a white gravy, but I thought this would be a little bit more interesting. It's got a lot more flavor, and it feels more like a full meal. So I'm going to just continue to stir it for a while until it thickens up. So right now I'll show you here. It's not quite thick enough yet. Now, if you put too much water or beef broth in here, which if you just put the 2 cups, you should be fine. But if you did for some reason have it comes out that it's more moist, depending on what meat you used or something like that. If it is too moist, just slowly add a little bit of flour over the top of your gravy. So I just sprinkle it over the top to where it wouldn't clump, but it could be easily mixed in a little at a time until it thickens up. Or just add another one of these gravy packets to it without adding any more water. Just sprinkle it over the top as well so it doesn't clump up on you. Just sprinkle in a little at a time until you get it all the way mixed in. But we're looking good so far. We'll just give it a little more time on the heat while we stir it in the middle so it doesn't burn. And my gravy is almost thick enough. As you can see, it's getting thicker. So you kind of just have to be patient with gravy. It does thicken up, and it's already almost gotten thick enough to where I like it. And I think that's probably about as thick as it's going to get. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off my stove and wait for my biscuits. That gravy came out just wonderful. You want to make sure you take it off the heat because it will continue to cook, and it will cook until it burns. I love this consistency. Again, if you like yours a little bit thicker, just add a little bit more flour to this. If you like it less thick and you like a little bit more creamy and runny like you would have on a Salisbury steak, you can just add less flour. So I'd probably do like a half a teaspoon of flour for that.
Eternity later. 3 minutes later.
Alright, so here I have my beautiful biscuits out of the oven. I'm not going to golden brown them too much because I'm going to smother them, so I want them to be kind of soft and creamy. But they are nice and crispy on the top. At this step, I go ahead and add some butter to it. Now that it's fresh out the oven, I just go ahead and just with my stick of butter, make sure it's not too melted. But I just go over the tops. I know these are extra buttery anyways, but it kind of just soaks into that biscuit a little bit and gives it just a little extra flavor because we're going for a very savory here. So we have our beautiful biscuits. Let's do a 2 biscuit plate. So I'm going to have my 2 biscuits here. Ooh, beautiful and hot, fresh out the oven. Let's go ahead and turn that off. And I'll put these back in there to stay warm. I could add my gravy. This looks so good. And this, of course, is a full portion of protein. The protein in sausage is very good for you. So I'm gonna make sure I got it beautifully heaping here. Let's get a little extra of this little gravy drizzle there. Yeah. All right. Here is my biscuits and gravy. Oh, it smells absolutely delicious. I'll go ahead and take a bite. I hope you've hit my like, my bell, and subscribe so I can keep making more videos for you. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one open so you can see what it looks like in the middle. And please, in the comments below, let me know how yours go go at home, how you cook them. And let's see if I can open that up a little bit. Let's see. All right. Let's go ahead and give it a taste. You can see that doughy, beautiful doughy, gravy soaked bite is just waiting for me to happen right there. I love some biscuits and gravy for breakfast. Very wholesome. It's definitely going to fill me up. And I'm getting my share of protein. So let me know how yours went at home, and I thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.